Pirate Nation, purple and gold family, stand to your feet, put your crossbones up, and lean side to side, yeah, and lean side to side, yeah, and lean side to side, come on, yeah, welcome to the island, man, it's crazy in here, a whole sea of purple and gold waving in here, keep a plank on the shark tank, traders beware, because we got a whole bunch of rowdy sailors in here.
What's going on, Pirate Nation? Welcome into the Sports Objective. It's hard to believe, but we're 2.5 weeks away from the start of East Carolina softball. And right now, very excited to have on the show for the first time East Carolina's second-year head coach, Shane Winkler. And, Coach, we appreciate your time today.
No, Bum, appreciate you having me.
Absolutely. Fired up for Pirate softball. This is a steadily improving program under your leadership. And, before we dive into the here and now and talk about your roster and so forth, since this is the first time we've had you on the program, just talk about why this job was so appealing to you back in May of 2021.
Very appealing then, but honestly, this job's been appealing to me for a lot longer than that. I had an opportunity to compete against ECU while I was an assistant at Marshall a lot of years ago. So I spent a couple years coming here competing against ECU, getting to see kind of what Pirate Nation was all about, sneaking over to the baseball stadium during our weekend series while we were playing here. And then actually had the opportunity to interview for the job a couple hires ago. So, I've been really interested in this university, this department, and the potential for this program for a lot of years. So when it came open again a year ago, it was all in. It was all in because I think this is a sleeping giant in the world of softball. Obviously, the program had a lot of success about 10 years ago or so, and we're getting it back there. Recruiting's going really well, but this is a place that I think we can win at a really, really high level and be one of the better teams in the American, which is one of the best conferences in the country. So when it came open, I threw it all in, and this is a place where I wanted to be, and I knew we can set up a foundation for success for years to come, and just really blessed for the opportunity and off to a really great start.
I agree with you. Obviously, we're a little biased here on the show, but at the same time, with you look at the success that East Carolina baseball's had and the success that the softball program has had down through the years that you referenced, going back to the days of Tony Paisley. I remember defeating Texas out in the Austin Regional, and there's no reason we can't get back there and beyond.
No, that's absolutely the plan. And you nailed it. We've got right across the parking lot. We've got that image of what success can be with our baseball program. And that's what we look towards every day is trying to build up a nationally recognized program like that. Like I said, some of the greats that have been part of this program in the past, we're trying to get them back involved as much as possible, get them back having ownership of what this program is going to look like in the future.
Looking back on 2022, I know about halfway through the season, you guys were 18-13. Clearly in league play, a very challenging American Athletic Conference schedule. Not the success you would have liked down the stretch, but I know there were plenty of bright spots in 2022.
Yeah, and honestly, obviously, you're always looking at your win-loss record. You're trying to win as many games as possible, finish as high in the conference as you can possibly can. But year one for us was all about establishing the culture. I don't think we've had that for a handful of years here, and I think we nailed that. Our players are in love with the program again. They enjoy coming out to the field every day and getting to work. And anytime you have that type of environment, success is going to come soon after. So we established recruiting ties throughout the state, bringing in kids also from all over the country. But really, it was establishing a culture that is the foundation for what this program is going to be. And I hate using the word rebuild, but that's one that the fans understand more than anything. So the rebuild process is starting, and what you can't do, you can't skip steps. So we know it's sometimes going to be slower than what we wanted, but again, it's establishing that culture and building a foundation that we can rely on for years to come.
Before we talk about what you return and what you're bringing in, I know you do lose some production, the likes of Faith Jarvis and some other young ladies from last year's roster. So talk about what you're missing from a season ago.
The first one you said right there, Faith Jarvis, is that's going to be a tough one to to replace. She had a great season at the top of the lineup. We had the opportunity with Faith to kind of reinvent her as a slapper, and it's been nice to have her around. She's our director of operations this year, so she's still around the program. She was a great leader as a player for us and helping us establish that culture. So to still have her influence on staff has been great. Really helping out with someone like Taudria Sinney, who was an all-conference kid for us, that's going to take over that leadoff spot. But some others that we're needing to replace. Logan Estes, still finishing up school here, but as a nursing student is going to rely on academics and step away from the game. So replacing her innings is going to be tough. And then she also brought a tough bat to our lineup. But Chamley Garner is another one who was that kind of just that grinded out type of player that we're trying to get some of our younger players to take on that role. So she was a leader in our infield and then one of our power bats. So we're really excited about kind of some of the experience that our younger players have, but definitely looking to see who's going to fill those shoes.
You mentioned Logan Estes, so we'll start right there within the circle. Last year, kind of atypical, and from my standpoint at least, you talk about establishing a culture in just the program as a whole, but within the circle, a lot of talent, but also unproven, a lot of inexperience. But you had 5 arms that logged anywhere from, I think, 64 to just over 80 innings. So talk about what you returned there, because I know you returned 4 out of 5, everyone except Logan.
Yeah, and it's going to be really similar this year. We don't have that go-to horse that's going to go out there and throw 250-plus innings and strike out 12, 13 hitters a game. But we've got a staff that we're going to rely on that complement each other really well. It starts there with some of the experience we got last year from some younger pitchers. Jordan Hatch has looked really good this fall. She had some bright spots as a freshman last year, had a lot of success in the state as a high school pitcher in the state of North Carolina. So we're looking for her to really take that big step from freshman to sophomore year. And then we had a couple that battled through injuries last year that are back and looking sharp so far this January. Addie Bullis really battled through injuries all year last year, so she's been looking sharp as she's bouncing back. Maddie Davis had some big time games for us, a couple Power 5 wins that she had, a good change of speed type kid. Taylor Smith returns. She's probably our hardest thrower, who got some valuable innings for the first time in her career. And then we bring in a transfer from Louisville, Peyton Hudson, who is going to swing the bat a little bit for us. That kind of takes on that Logan Estes role, a down ball pitcher that, again, complements some of our other arms, but has some experience pitching in some big games. So, again, we're going to rely on all 5, kind of that bullpen rotation by committee. But it allows us to give an opposing team that many more looks and that many more arms to prepare for.
Yeah, no doubt, a variety of options there. And I'm very intrigued with the Louisville transfer, as you mentioned, Peyton Hudson. Kind of moving to, let's go around the horn and beginning with the infielders. Just take us around the horn and, what you have returning and then also what you have coming into the program.
Well, going around the horn is going to be interesting because we're battling through some injuries right there. So we've got some kids. I'm not going to say playing out of position because, growing up they play a lot of different spots in the infield. So we've got some juggling around and bouncing around. Jocelyn Alonzo is still trying to return from surgery last year that she had at the end of last season, and she was off to a blazing start in conference play last year. So we're trying to get her back ready for the start of season, which would kind of establish us at shortstop, which obviously is kind of the foundation for your infield. So if she's playing there, then it kind of sets the tone for everywhere else. But right now we've got some kids bouncing around. We've got a lot of options in the infield, which is great. It's going to make my job a little tough to see what combination from game to game. But that's what the first month of non-conference play is all about, to see who's going to step up. But we're looking forward to Logan Sutton taking on a little more of a role. She got some times last year in the infield at second base, but right now she's filling in at shortstop, waiting for Alonzo to come back. But she can slide over to second base, but really a strong bat, and she's stepped up going into her sophomore season. We're looking to get a little more production out of her. Bailey Wilson saw a lot of time last year, which she's seeing time at third base, saw some time at first base last year, and we're probably going to move her over and see at second base a little bit. So some of that juggling. We got an NC State transfer, JC Chamberlain, who has a lot of power. Didn't see a lot of time throughout her career at NC State, but I recruited her when I was at George Washington. So we've known her for a lot of years, and the potential she has as a 6-foot bat that can bounce around and play both corners. And then moving over to first base, a big bat that we're looking forward to this year is Taylor Woodring. Great eye at the plate. On-base percentage always one of the highest in the conference. So we're looking forward to her hopefully having a little more offensive production, driving in runs with the power bat that she has. And then Mackenzie Keela, a recruit from Hawaii, has a lot of potential. Been seeing time all around the infield. That really an athlete that is, as a freshman, has the ability to step in and be a big name player for our program. And anyone that knows the ECU softball program in the past know that there's always been some really solid Hawaiian kids, and we lucked into one this year that we saw out recruiting in California, and she has the ability to come in and have a great career for us.
A moment ago, you mentioned Cindy, the Texas A&M transfer. Last year, she was third on the team, hitting .274, also second on the club with 11 stolen bases and produced 7 doubles. So talk about her and the other options around the outfield, starting in left.
Yeah, in left field, right now we got a transfer from UCLA that came in 2 weeks ago that sat out last year, so trying to get caught up to speed with timing, but a lot of potential in Taylor Edwards there. She's going to see some time in left, could see some time at first base also. Left-hand bat, left-hand thrower, so obviously limited a little bit in defense, but on where you can put her. But she's got the athleticism that can move all over the outfield, but has some pop in her bat. A lot of speed, so she's going to be a great addition to our lineup. That again, getting her back to speed and getting caught up, but really looking to see in the production that she's going to have. But in center field, Tadra Assini, like I said, hitting the 270s last year, but that doesn't really say what kind of production she had late in the season. She was an all-conference kid for us because what she did in conference play, the type of pitching that we see in the AAC is top notch, and she really lit it up the second half of conference play for us. We're looking for her to set the table as we go through the season. And then moving over to right field, Anna Sawyer, a local product as a freshman, has the ability to step in and I think has the potential to be one of the better hitters that this program's seen throughout her career. Great accolades throughout her high school career, state champion for Conley, and really has the potential to step in from day one and be a run producer for us. And then one more that's going to be seeing time is Sydney Yoder, who has the ability to play all over the outfield. Senior for us that had some big moments last season. Looking for her to see some DP time and also see some time in the outfield. And then one more bat going over to that DP role is going to be Joey Fatante. She's going to see some time behind the plate, but also can swing it really well. And then moving in again, catching wise, Sophie Wools is also going to see time back there. Her and Joey are going to split time, 2 big time bats for us. So that kind of lays the work for what we expect offensively and defensively.
You mentioned Fatante as well as Wools. Wools led the team with 6 home runs a season ago, and Yoder was second on the team and with the .292 average, 4 home runs. A name I don't believe you've mentioned. Forgive me if you did, but Daphne Mercado. That seemed like an intriguing story there because she's coming over from Memphis, which is obviously within the league. And I noticed last year against the Pirates, she had a multi-hit game as well as a home run.
Yeah, and Daphne's going to play all over the field for us. We got her working in middle infield a little bit, has potential to play outfield. She's naturally a catcher, which we got a lot of depth there. But Daphne's one that reached out to us and, again, obviously had some success against us last season, reached out to us and really wanted to be a part of what our culture is after they played against us. That kind of stood out, the energy that our program brings. So she reached out really excited about being a part of our program. So we brought her in a couple weeks ago and, again, has the potential to play a lot of different positions. Great bat to ball skills. It's going to put the ball in play for us and make some things happen. So definitely has a lot of potential, going to add some depth to a couple different spots. And the way she swings it has the ability to work herself in the lineup at a lot of different positions.
We talk about needing to see improvement, obviously, across the board. But I mean, you mentioned specifically in the circle. What are some of the biggest things that you're looking to see the most improvement from in 2023? In 2023.
Last year a lot of our kids were gaining experience, so we're looking for that to be a big thing that helps them now that they've seen, like you said, 60, 70, 80 innings under their belts against some big time lineups. So hopefully from some of our younger ones not having the big deer in headlights moments, whether it be being on the college stage for the first time like a Jordan Hatch or seeing AAC offenses for the first time. So we look for the confidence to be built a lot. But again, we've got a new arm to throw to the mix. It's just finding ways for them to complement each other. We're not going to have many that are going to go through a 7-inning stretch by themselves and throw a complete game. So we're going to have pitchers that are ready, whether it's throwing to 3 hitters, throwing 1 inning, one time through the order. We're going to have to establish what different roles are going to be. But that experience factor is going to be the big difference maker for our staff this year.
Taking a look at your 2023 schedule, tremendous schedule. We talked about how tough the American is, and we'll mention more about that in a moment. But non-conference play, man, you jump right into the fire, taking on the Virginia Tech Hokies, who were a win away from Oklahoma City. And you had those first 10 games on the road before playing 19 out of the next 20 at Max Joyner Family Stadium.
Yeah, like when you sign up for a tournament, like we did with Wilmington, you don't know who the other team's going to be immediately. So seeing Virginia Tech once that was announced was exciting that they're going to be in the field, and then find out that we're playing in the first 2 games of the season. That's a tough test right away, because that's, like I said, they were close to making it to Oklahoma City last year, and they've got that potential again. They got one of the top 5, 6, 7 arms in the nation. Their offense is extremely stout. So we're going to be tested the very first 2 days of the season. And then we've got some big time names coming in here once we start our home tournaments. Obviously like Ohio State and Maryland, a couple Big Ten teams. Notre Dame's coming down. I feel like we played half the ACC with some of the teams that are a short drive from here, with North Carolina State, North Carolina, and Duke. So just the location that we're in, we're going to have great competition throughout midweek games every season. So we're going to be tested preseason. We definitely got some games that are set there to hopefully gain some confidence and build up a good start to the season. But again, obviously going to be tested for some Power 5 teams. And then, like you said, the AAC slate is tough as any conference in the country. So we'll be prepared. We again some great experience from a season ago, so we know a little more what to expect going into American play for some of our younger players, and that preseason schedule is going to get us ready. And
you talk about that's one of the things within the baseball world. You have so many teams regionally, and I'm sure pretty similar in softball. You can play an excellent schedule without traveling very far. And I know a season ago you had Duke in for the doubleheader. This year you're going to Durham. I noticed toward the end of the regular season this year you're playing 3 against NC State, a doubleheader followed by a single on Sunday. So what is that something next year? Will the Wolfpack come to Greenville for 3? To be determined.
Duke and North Carolina will come here. I haven't had much success getting NC State to come. They like to try to come here in the fall and then make us come there in the spring, which again, we want to keep playing those teams, those Power 5 teams, especially having a lot of in-state kids.
Right.
A lot of them grow up being Wolfpack, Blue Devil, Tar Heel fans. So to come here, it's exciting for them. So we hope to get to the point where we can get NC State to come here as well, but we'll keep making the trip, and it's an opportunity for us again to hopefully knock off a big in-state opponent, being in their place. And if we can get them to come back here, we're going to keep trying to. But the good thing is we've got the other 2 that Duke played here last year. North Carolina was scheduled to, but we got rained out. So we'll keep having home and homes with them. But all 3 of them, it's a great opportunity for our program to again play Power 5 teams that are not too far down the road, that our kids and our fans get really excited about.
Within the American, you've referenced multiple times during this conversation what a quality league it is. You had UCF a season ago who made it to a super regional, and what a tough draw for them having to run into national champion Oklahoma there in the supers out in Norman. But talk about the Knights, and then I know USF has been very strong as well as other teams throughout this league.
Yeah, UCF is going to return a lot offensively. I know they lose their top two pitchers, so that's going to be tough for them. USF's the same way. They've had for the past 5 years the best pitcher in the conference, one of the best pitchers in the country. So they've got to replace her. So the good thing for us is some of the top teams in the country are replacing some arms, but there's some great offensive teams. Wichita State has got one of the best offenses in the entire country. We saw that when we played them here last year. I think they're going to be one of the favorites this season. They bring in a couple pitchers that are going to help them. But from top to bottom, we've got a small 7-team conference. I mean, 3 of the 7 made the NCAA tournament last year. There's potential for 3 or 4 this year. Again, we're trying to get ourselves in that mix. But from top to bottom, it's one of the toughest conferences in the entire country. So we're excited about the test ahead. Again, the preseason polls came out, and a lot of times your champion from the season ago is number 1 again, like UCF is, but any of 3 or 4 teams has the ability to win this conference and again be a multi-bid league for the NCAA tournament.
And you talk about what Coach Godwin's built with the baseball program. Obviously has led the state of North Carolina in attendance for well over 20 years now consecutively. And I know softball, it's kind of been hit or miss. I mean, at times the stadium's packed and rocking. Talk about what you would say to Pirate fans. And I know early in the season there's a lot of overlap. Baseball and softball taking place on the same day. So, folks, I encourage you to walk across the street and check out what's taking place.
Yeah, and anytime someone comes over, they're going to realize that, I mean, it's a fun sport to watch. I mean, I grew up a baseball guy. I'm a baseball guy. I still play baseball. And you see a lot of baseball fans that kind of move over to the softball side and get excited about what they see. But obviously winning brings energy, brings fans, and we're building that. Like I said, we're going through that process right now. Last year, we did a solid job of competing. If you look through some of our scores in conference, even some games that we lost, I mean, UCF is one of the best teams in the country. We're right there in a 3-game series with a chance to win a couple of those games. And so we really worked hard at competing last year, and we had some exciting games here at Max Joyner that we competed in. And this year, we're competing to win. So that, again, once we get that train running, the fans, the energy, they're going to follow. And once this place gets rocking all the time, it's going to be a fun place to play. It's going to be a fun place to win. So with that preseason overlap with baseball and softball, we're trying to schedule some of our games to where fans can sneak over here for a few innings before heading over there. And once they start making their way out, they're going to stay. Because again, there's a lot of fun, a lot of passion, a lot of energy, and fans will see that right away. And our kids feed off of it.
Yeah, you hear it all the time. You reference some baseball guys kind of drifting to softball, and I know you fell into that boat, but that's something that you always hear about. One of the negatives in some people's mind with baseball is the pace of play and the length of a game. When softball, you have 7 innings, and it's a very fast-paced game, generally speaking, and those are some of the advantages.
Yeah, absolutely. And you see a lot of the baseball influence coming over to softball as well, especially on the offensive side. There's a lot of former baseball guys coming over teaching the way that they do things offensively. And I mean, some of the run production you're seeing throughout the country is a byproduct of that. People coming in, really diving into what the swing's all about, because there's a lot of similarities between the two games. But again, like you said, we've got the pace of play, how quick the game is, obviously the shorter distance, and these pitchers can bring it as well. So there's a lot of speed, a lot of power to the game, and it's a fun game to be a part of. And again, I'll always be a baseball guy, and we bring a lot of that influence over to our program. So any fans that come and catch both programs, I think they're going to find some things that they love about both. And we just look forward to continue to have our goal of packing the max and giving us a home field advantage.
Final thing I had for you, Coach. I know here recently you announced on ECUPirates.com some 2023 signees, and since those young ladies have signed, I wanted to ask because I'm assuming now that they have signed their NLIs so that you can discuss them.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got a solid 23 class. What we're bringing in there is some pitching depth. Some arms that we think can help take us to the next level, and then we've got some speed. So when we looked, we didn't have a lot of time for our 23 class when we took over, because you're always looking 2 to 3 years out when getting a recruiting class. So the 24 class is the first one that we really had the opportunity to see kids, get to know kids. But we're really excited about some of the talent we're bringing in 23. Taylor Apple has the ability to be a frontline pitcher for us. Great velocity. Spins it up, spins it down, changes speeds. So she's an in-state kid with a lot of potential. Devin Long's another one that in the circle has the ability to keep the ball down in the zone with some really good velocity. Has had a lot of success in the state of Georgia as a pitcher and an offensive player. And then we bring in 3 kids that are speed kids in the outfield that have the ability. Again, we look for dynamic kids, whether it was power, whether it was speed. And we were fortunate enough to bring some kids in that can make some things happen from a speed standpoint. Kanisha Anderson, coming from California, is she's a big time recruit. She's a track kid out there that is going to fly and cover some ground from line to line in the outfield. Then we got Hannah Evans, plays for the same travel organization as Taylor Apple. A lot of success, handles the bat really well, covers all kinds of ground in the outfield. And then Kaylee Askew, another one in state that handles the bat well, good speed, can play both corner outfield positions. So we lose a couple outfielders next year, so we're covering that extremely well with some speed that I think is going to give us the ability to have one of the best defensive outfields in our conference, which again gives us the ability to hopefully be one of the better defense outfields in the country, and then some pitching depth that can come in and make an impact right away. So we're looking forward for the 23 class to help take a big stride for us. And then, I mean, right now on paper, the 24 class kind of projecting out has the potential to be a top 25 class for us. I mean, we've got some kids that we're really excited about. The recruits never get here fast enough, but we're excited about the future that we're building.
Awesome to hear. I know 3 of these young ladies that you just referenced rank in the top 100 nationally, and that 2023 class is top 50 or so, and looking even better for 2024. But really appreciate the time this morning. You've been very generous, and we look forward to catching up with you down the road, maybe mid-year.
Awesome. Sounds good. I appreciate you having me.
No doubt.
Thanks. Go Pirates.
I'm a pirate down to my soul, and I don't back down, not at all. Find out when the cannons explode, from the sidelines down to the post. Put it down like not even close. All out to the last whistle blow. From the flag with the soul and crossbones. Everybody stand up, get your hands up. Let the team know that we got they back. This is our house, this is our town, our time. Break a 1-9, copy that. Everybody in the stands go bananas, scream loud, but don't hold back. Every foot, every yard, every first down, every touchdown with the cannons blast. Get it on, get it all, get the wave going like a